Hi everybody, as mentioned, my name is Emma Cooper. I started my business on the 10th of December 2013, so I'm only just into my 15th month of my forever journey. My background before Forever was that I was a full-time police officer in the UK. I worked for Greater Manchester Police, as did my husband Sean. I can't say I hated my job in the beginning because I really didn't. I loved it, and I think it's testament to my work ethic, which I've carried over into Forever, that I used to work every single day off that I could. I would go into work. I worked on a drug squad, and my husband worked on the tactical aid unit, which is a bit like a riot squad, I guess. So we didn't spend much time together because our shifts very often didn't overlap. Before the police, I had suffered quite badly with anxiety and also bouts of depression. So, getting into the police was really substantial for me, and it did my confidence a world of good. I got assaulted quite badly a couple of times during my police career, and it made the anxiety and the depression come back. And I really struggled for a while. At times, the anxiety was pretty bad. I didn't leave the house for about 18 months without wearing jogging bottoms, Ugg boots, if you know what they are, and a cap, because I was too scared for people to look at my face. I was really embarrassed. And I had very, very little self-esteem. Two female officers were also shot and killed on duty on the next division to me. And it really made me question about the career I wanted to do long term, because I was petrified going to work and seeing my husband go to work. Also, Sean and I got married, and we found out the following day that I was pregnant with our first son, William, which for any mums, you know, that changes everything. So I found my why before I found Forever. I had actually been offered the opportunity to have a look at Forever 3.5 years before I actually did. But it wasn't the right time then. I guess I was okay with just being okay. The right time came when I was 30 weeks pregnant, scrubbing skirting boards in my bedroom and looking at my son's nursery, awaiting his arrival. And I just started crying because I thought, this can't be it. Why have I got myself pregnant and all settled in Manchester, which was 3.5 hours away from my parents, when it really, I didn't feel secure enough, I guess. I wasn't happy in my job, and I just felt like I'd done it a bit too soon. But I felt trapped in the police because I don't have any other qualifications. I only left high school with 6 GCSEs, so I didn't really think I could do anything else other than be a police officer. So I got started on my business on the 14th of December. And it's funny what Dan was just saying about your first sponsor and your first orders, because as I was signing up to Forever, I text my very best friend, Lisa Prescott, and I text her and said, get your skinny butt to my house tomorrow, bring £200, I've found our ticket out of the police. I was that certain of what Forever could do for us both. She was my best friend, and she was 31 weeks pregnant. So she said, yep, whatever it is, I'm in, let's do it. I'll see you tomorrow. I stayed up all night, all through the night, watching the business presentation that it had been recorded by my upline, learning it. I watched it over and over and over and over again, and I went to work the next day with no sleep, and I met her that night, and she joined my team. Little did I realize the power of doing the all-nighter, learning this business, the power that that would have on my business. Because from the second I joined, I was so excited, because it seems cliche, but I genuinely was just looking for about £500 a month to allow me to stay off on maternity with my son when he was born. But staying up that night and learning that business presentation made me realize that everything Forever had to offer, and I was not just going to settle for £500 a month when in front of me was the most generous company I had ever seen, and I wanted to help all my friends make some drastic changes too. So thank you, Rex. I had one problem. My husband was a caveman. He said, "You can do it because I've researched the company, it seems fantastic." But he beat his chest a bit and did what cavemen do and said, "But I'm telling you, we can't afford the £200. We had to pay £20 off the credit card to put the full £200 on. We were pretty short of cash." And he said to me, "Look, all I ask is that you make back the £200 for the pack because we really can't afford it." And I said, "Yeah, I totally understand." But in my head, I was saying, "I'll show you." I'll come to that bit later, how much I showed him. So I got started. Remember, I could explain the business really well. I was super, super excited about how generous this company was, and I wanted to tell everybody about it. So in December, the first 2 weeks of starting, I ended on 25.426 case credits, and I earned my money back for the pack. £324.29 was my bonus. Now remember, my first thing was to earn £500. I'd been doing it 2 weeks, so I'd already done that in my head. So then it was on to the bigger things. I didn't stop. I kept my head down. I worked every waking second of every single day. I was up through the night checking my case credits because they used to update at random times through the night. They don't now. It's 7:30 in the morning, around 7:34 UK time. And so in January, that momentum really kicked in, and we did 101.879 case credits. So we had a bonus of £1,521.31. Now, for some people, that may not seem like a lot of money, but my police wage was £1,600 a month. So in 6 weeks with Forever, I'd actually earned more than my police wage, which just seemed insane to me. And it still does. Lisa Prescott, you heard me just mention her, my very best friend who was 31 weeks pregnant when she started the day after me. In January, Lisa became a manager. So my very first team member became my very first manager. Super, super special when it's your best friend. And I'll tell you a little story about Lisa. Lisa qualified at just under 3,000 case credits this year, also in her first year of business. Yeah. But to do things like this with friends is way more special, I think. Because Lisa and I were both police officers. Our husbands were both police officers. She was 31 weeks pregnant. I was 30 weeks pregnant. We did everything together. Not everything, they have different fathers. But we were in the same boat, so we were looking for the same kind of stuff. So we used our excitement, our knowledge of how generous the company was, although she did ask me what case credits were for like 6 weeks. In the end, I refused to answer. Yeah, so Lisa became a manager. She's also qualified for chairman's bonus, so she's doing some fantastic things. I remember sat at my kitchen table maybe 6 weeks before we joined Forever, and Lisa and I were working out if we both saved £3.50 a week for the entire time we were on maternity, we could buy her husband a birthday cake. For Lisa's husband's birthday, She paid for him to go to Las Vegas. She jetted him off there. She bought him a brand new designer wardrobe. Lots of trainers, he loves those. She gave him a massive party with the biggest cake you can possibly imagine. So it's times like that and things like that that Forever has done for us that have really, really changed our lives. So in February, we ended on 163.723 case credits. Our bonus was £3,016.17. A massive one for me. I was in labour at the time when I opened the recap. I think that sped things up, because that was almost double my police wage. I can't look at that one. So then in March, my why arrived. I spent the whole of my 9 months pregnant wishing it was just over. When I started Forever, I spent 10 weeks wishing just to keep it in a bit longer because I had a bit more work to do. So luckily, he was 5 days over, but he arrived. I made no excuses. I made William my reason why and not my excuse not to do things. I was doing planning meetings from my iPad while I was in labour. I had a C-section, so I was travelling up and down the country 4 days after I had the section, doing product launches, doing first steps to manager. I made absolutely no excuses. And in March, I remember taking William home from the hospital and saying to Sean, while William was sat in his chair in the living room, you know, Sean, you think, or they think I've done well so far, but they have not seen anything yet. This is it.